On the high-speed train during the holidays, my husband roughly grabbed my arm, forcing me to help a stranger in medical distress. I stood motionless, watching him die, coldly smiling at his wife's tears and everyone's accusations. I encountered a passenger with a sudden illness on the high-speed train heading home for Christmas. My husband urged me to step forward and offer medical assistance, but I refused. He then shouted, "You are a doctor. A doctor's duty is to save lives. How can you just stand by and watch someone die?" I stood with my arms crossed, unmoved, watching the patient die before my eyes. Bystanders accused me of being a cold-blooded monster, even flooding my hospital's social media account demanding the director fire me. I laughed. Who said doctors must always save lives? Jack Wilson grabbed my arm forcefully. "Emily, someone up front seems to be having a medical emergency. Aren't you a doctor? Go check it out quickly." I didn't move, my gaze falling coldly on him as I refused. "I am not going." After pulling at me a few more times and seeing that I remained unmoved, Jack suddenly stood up and loudly berated me. "You are a doctor. A doctor's duty is to save lives. How can you just stand by and watch someone die?" Someone nearby heard Jack's words and hurried over. "You are a doctor? Thank goodness. Please go check on that man. He looks like he's in so much pain and discomfort." Yes, saving a life is worth more than anything. Especially as a doctor, you should take responsibility. I glanced at Jack, noticing his lips curling into a smile as he heard the other's words. "That's right, honey. Don't refuse at a time like this. Go quickly." I stood up and walked over to the man who was having the medical emergency. He looked to be in extreme pain, his face pale, cold sweat covering his forehead, his brows tightly furrowed. Seeing that I wasn't moving, Jack urged me again. "Emily, hurry up, save him." I looked coldly at the man before me, still maintaining an indifferent expression. "I won't." Hearing my words, the people around started to discuss among themselves. How can this person be so cold-blooded? Yet, her husband said she's a doctor. How can she have no medical ethics at all? How can there be such a person? Amidst their discussions, the man in front of me was becoming increasingly distressed. He reached out and clutched at his throat. As if he couldn't breathe, the woman sitting next to him stood up and knelt before me, tears and snot streaming down her face. "Please, save my husband. He's only 38 years old. I'm begging you. I'll do anything if you are willing to save him. I don't want him to die." As she spoke, she kept kowtowing to me. Her head hit the cold floor with a thud, and blood started to flow from her forehead. She looked utterly pitiful. Yet I only took a step back, still showing no reaction, my face remaining cold and emotionless. The next moment, the man suddenly stopped all movement, and his hand fell limp. He was dead. The woman screamed and threw herself onto him. "Honey, honey, 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 wake up. What's wrong? Don't scare me." I scanned the scene and calmly said, "He's dead." The woman suddenly got up and lunged at me, hitting and scratching. "It's all your fault. If you'd been willing to save my husband, he wouldn't have died. You don't deserve to be a doctor. You are a murderer. I begged you so much, but you still let him die. Are you even human, you beast? You are a devil." I acted as if I couldn't hear the woman's accusations, calmly turning to return to my seat. But Jack suddenly grabbed my arm, his tone full of indignation. "How could I end up with someone like you? You are so cold-blooded and heartless. Doesn't your conscience hurt at all?" I smiled slightly. "I didn't touch him at all from beginning to end. How could I have killed him?" Jack was momentarily speechless but quickly recovered. "Is letting someone die your idea of medical ethics? This was a living, breathing person who just died in front of you. Don't you feel any guilt at all?" I pried his hand off me. "No, I don't." The woman was still shouting for the train attendant to come. "My husband is dead. Stop the train immediately." I raised the corner of my lips in a mocking smile.